Hi guys, this is Mike from the Starlight Diver channel. In today's video I'm gonna teach you how you can upgrade your basic DIR regulator set looking from a standard version like this to a more enhanced and of course fancy looking version like this. On the dive side I get frequently asked how I did my knotting, my special fancy looking knotting on my regulator set. And on the purpose of that I found it quite interesting to show you in a video how I did it. And for this you need just some basic tools. Of course, most importantly the paracord with the color of your choice and the knowledge of this video. So if you're into that, make sure to watch this video and I would say let's get back right into it. Okay guys, on the table you just can see what we do require for today's task. Of course, for achieving our objective of enhancing a regulator set, we do need a regulator set. In this case we have a new DST with a 5th board and some beautiful Apeks XTX50 connected to it. But the focus for today's video will be on this stuff actually. So we're gonna enhance this standard regulator set with some fancy looking knotting. And what we do want to knot on a regulator set is of course mainly bolt snaps. So as you can see here we have two sizes. We are gonna use for a SPG bolt snap the bigger one. I think it is a 90mm version, and the smaller one with 72mm is going to be knotted on our long hose to secure our main second stage on the harness if it is not used. Besides our stainless steel equipment, we do have some cable ties because our backup second stage is mounted with a bungee on our neck, and to secure the bungee on our regulator we do need to exchange some cable ties. In this case we are using flat head cable ties. From the tool side we will require a lighter to melt down the end of the paracord, a side clipper and of course a small plier to do a special knot for something I will show you later. From material side for paracord, so we are going to use today two main paracord types. The one in my left hand is paracord type 3. It's thicker, it's a standard paracord type which is on the market. And on my right hand side you can see the paracord type 1. It's in its diameter thinner, and this is going to be the paracord we're going to use to do the knotting or the securing of the bolt snap onto the rubber hose. And yeah, that's basically it for the paracord. And for bungee, of course, we do also have a bungee in the preferred color ID, neon pink. Yeah, that's standard bungee cord you can buy online. This one has 4mm in diameter. A standard version you do build onto your dive equipment. Okay guys, so we now do start with our first set of regulators. As you can see, we do have here inside our backup second stage. This is going to be placed with a bungee around the neck of the diver. The first step what we're going to now do is secure our big bolt snap, as I said the 90mm bolt snap, onto our rubber housing of the SPG. Now the question is, where do we place it ideally? So what I don't like to see is mounting the bolt snap somewhere like here, because here occasionally bubbles can occur, so we want to keep this area basically clear of any webbing, of any knotting, since we want to have a visual on during our bubble check before we enter or start the dive in itself. So make sure to we'll keep this area clear. We will place our bolt snap in an area something like here. This, as I said, is the paracord type 1 we're going to use today. This will be used for tying this bolt snap onto our rubber housing. This one is as well for the main second stage later on. To tie it off, I will just cut off something like this in a length. 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters is, from my experience, enough. What I do like to do when I tie off a bolt snap onto a rubber hose is basically going 4 times around the rubber hose and the bolt snap itself. 4 times fits just perfectly to secure it for a dive operation. After the 4 times of going or do the wrapping, go through the eye. Yeah, keep in mind this one is already facing towards me. We'll go in this direction with the second one. And in this step I want to make sure now that this is gonna be as tight as possible. Okay, so now we have tightened this down, and now I'm gonna show you how you basically do the knot in itself. So this strand which came from the back will now go on top of those 4 strands. Make sure to keep it tight, that it is not getting loose. That's the challenging part in it. Then, when this one is crossing, we take the other, and this will go over this one and under it, so that we are gonna fix kind of this strand I have in my right one. And then make sure to keep this tight. Yeah, it's very important that this one is then looking nice. And afterwards, we're gonna take this one in the back, behind the Boltsnap. And as I said before, make sure that this is as tight as possible. Yeah. So once we did this, yeah, I hope you can see it well. Yeah. This one on my right is the one crossing the 4 lines, and the one on my left is going above this right one and heading straight towards the back. Then we are going to turn it, so the knot in itself will be close on the back of this Boltsnap. This left strand is already on the back, and the right one is now going to the back. Now, since we are on the back of the hose, we're going to close here with a cross knot. Cross knot means that the strand going out of the knot is actually on top of the one going in the knot, as you can see here. Yeah? This one is a cross knot. If this looks differently, please redo and make sure this is in the end a cross knot. If you cut this paracord way too up, like this, and burn it down, what happened is actually that the area where you melt it down in the end to secure the knot will be black. And this is not looking nice. What we want to have is just a melted down, not burnt down paracord end of the knot. To melt it down, you do not require to have that much strand left, so around 1 to 2 millimeters above the knot is quite nice. With that finished, we now have tied down our big Boltsnap to the SPG. And this is going now directly onto your D-ring on your hip of the DRR harness. Quite nice, huh? This is our backup second stage. This one goes around the neck. And in a DIR configuration style setup, we want to have bungee basically going under our cable tie here around the diver's neck and going back towards the cable tie and ending there. What we're gonna now do is undo this cable tie. We will renew it later on, but first of all we will get rid of this one. Please be careful when you cut this with a side clipper, not to harm the mouthpiece. After cutting off our needed bungee cord, what we do want to have is something looking like this. So this bungee goes underneath our cable tie, securing the mouthpiece. To knot down the ending in a proper way and in order to look this nice and tidy, we are going to use an 8 knot. Yeah, and this 8 knot is going to be tied like this. We form a eye, go beneath it, yeah, and go back through the eye. And as you can just see here, it looks like an 8, and that's where the name of the knot comes from. And here we don't want to waste that much bungee, so I adjust it to the end of my cutoff. And then in this step, I will tighten the knot. Then, this is basically finished, this end. We cut off something like this. So I cut off, with an excess of maybe 3-4 millimeters. This is required for an 8 knot, since, as you can see, this strand goes under and gets secured by this one. If I cut it down too low, then this knot can come loose. Here as well, melt it down. We now will measure the exact length of the bungee. It shall be not too long. The regulator shall hang just below your chin, that with the idea of gaining access to your backup regulator, you should potentially do it just by picking it up with your mouth. Again, the 8 knot, making an eye, and going then down and through the eye. And with that, we have our 8 knot. Without a twist in the bungee, the ends facing the same direction. That's how we tie down the bungee in a nice and tidy way. Next step will be to add the cable tie. Okay guys, since we now just tied down our cable tie, I want to cut this remaining part off, okay? What we don't want to do is use a side clipper and do this, because then we have a sharp edge where you can hurt yourself. This is not nice. For this purpose, we need a sharp knife. And with this sharp knife, I will carefully cut down as close as possible the remaining plastic of the cable tie. And with that, nobody can hurt itself, or you cannot puncture your dry glove. With that being done, we have finalized one side of our DIR setup. We now have the other side of the regulator. So this one is the first stage, which is on the right shoulder, where our long hose is connected, and our main second stage. Principally, it's the same regulator we do use on the left side, and as a backup, it's the same model. And here we want to have, in the end, this second small Boltsnap secured on the hose, something like here. I do prefer to mount this Boltsnap in a way that even if this regulator is clipped off onto my harness steering on my right shoulder, I'm able to preform it without unclipping it. I don't want to get in a situation where I cannot get air from my main regulator because I cannot unclip it due to some stress or cold situations. So this is regarding the positioning of the Boltsnap onto the rubber hose. Shall be something like here. And what I mean by a special knotting, we want to have a ranger bead on our Boltsnap. Yeah? A ranger bead is something looking like this. Applying this knot on this Boltsnap gives us, with, for example, also using dry gloves, a better grip onto this Boltsnap in the end. Additionally, when I use more Boltsnaps or double enders clipped away on my right shoulder D-ring, with having this on the Boltsnap, I can sense what kind of Boltsnap is actually the one for my main air supply. So I do just have this kind of knot on my Boltsnap tied down onto this hose to make sure in the end, when something more is clipped away on the right hand side, that I can feel where is my main air supply. Yeah? So this is the idea behind, and of course, as I said, besides this, it gives some extra grip and texture for handling it with dry cloth and something else. Before we tie down this bolt snap onto the rubber hose, I want to tie down the arranger bead, that's how the knot is called, onto the bolt snap. Therefore we're gonna use this type 3 paracord, so the thicker one, with our preferred color, and we take kind of this length, yeah, so something like this, not too much. Lay it on top with that kind of excess, and now we're gonna go under the bolt snap, going over this excess, going behind the bolt snap, going in front of the bolt snap. Now this remaining excess is in between. And now we will go with the long strand, this one. We will actually go through this first loop here, through that one, yeah? But pull it down. Make sure not to twist it that much, yeah? Yeah? Something like that. Tie it just a bit, not too much, yeah? And we have something like that. Now, with a long strand and a short strand, we will turn it. The long strand is now the one who is going on top below this strand, and the short one is coming out of in the middle. What we're now going to use is some tools to get this strand, this one, beneath this one. That's the first task. Now we're gonna take the long strand and go then under this strand and tie it down. This side is done. With that remaining part, we will go actually right under this whole 2 paracord strands and tie it down. Make sure not to twist the paracord. Looks like our initial thing what we wanted to achieve. What we're now going to do, and that's very important for this knot, is to tie it down nice and tightly. The technique is here basically that we turn it like this and then start at some point here, for example, and pulling it tight. Yeah? I'm securing the rest of the knot with my hand and tighten it down. So now we are following the strand and tighten it again down. Following, tighten it down. And that's something I repeat now till I'm happy with the result, and you should do it as well. And since we are now ready with this knot, we will cut off the remaining paracord at the end. Here's the same procedure as I told you with the SPG bolt snap. So something like this is just fine, 2 millimeters. Yeah, do it as tight as possible. This way your paracord melts down and gets not black. That's something we want to avoid. We don't want to have black burnt ends in a colored paracord.
I need a day off, but the boss says hell no. I'm gonna get drunk and smoke 3 packs of Marlboro.
Since we now prepared our small bolt snap, I want to have this bolt snap placed somewhere here. Type 1 paracord, we're gonna cut off some material from our source. This is in the end the same procedure as for the SPG bolt snap. I just like to do four wrappings onto the rubber hose.
I'm gonna go to the bank and cash out my account.
Okay guys, since now our workshop is kind of completed for today, I want to show you how it looks onto a double tank. Here's a trick for you. Since we are managing a long hose, we don't want to have the regulator falling down into the dirt or onto the ground. First thing, before we mount the first stage onto the tank, make sure to kind of wrap it a bit, the second stage here, and use your Boltsnap and tie it directly down onto your shoulder D-ring. Then we're just gonna have the hands free and put it onto our tank. Not too much force, always the 2 to 3 finger rule when you work on the first stages. And now, as you can see, with our high pressure hose, it is just perfect for our hip D-ring, something like this. So that's what we want to achieve. That is kind of in a nice angle to our hip D-ring. Perfect length of the rubber hose and the perfect position for this Boltsnap. And then, of course, use the bungee to make sure your backup regulator doesn't hang down. Guys, as you have just seen, sometimes small details matter and do a really big impact on the appearance of your dive equipment. And I found that the regulator just turned out perfect. It really looks nice and tidy. If you like this video and it helped you to personalize your own equipment, then please make sure to hit this like button below. It really helps to make such kind of video. And of course, as always, it's free. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be part of this journey. Till then, safe diving and keep exploring.